This is a face I'm sure you will recognise. She's laughing already. All I've said is, this is a face I'm sure that you'll recognise. Not only because she's been here before, but she is the fabulous, world-renowned Dorothy Koomson.
Thank you. World-renowned. That's so funny.
And Dorothy is back with her latest offering, which I believe is going to be your last offering for some time.
For a while, yes.
Yeah, but we won't go into that yet.
No.
Last time Dorothy was here, it was all about Rose Petal Beach. And I tell you, just reading that book and just tweeting about it, it really got me, it got my energies flowing, and it really got me understanding that the readers of your books, they're very connected to you. They love your storylines. Because books are books and stories are stories, but I think the angle that you take, I think that's what readers really, really love. So she's back now with the Flavours of Love. So come on now, tell us all about Saffron McElroy. 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 Tell us about Saffron. Because, oh God, you see, here I go now. I'm asking you to talk, and now here I go. Because what I loved about Rose Petal Beach, it was the start. It was the beginning that got me gripped. Yeah. And it was about someone whose life began not that hour or that... And what you've done with this now is you've started it, but then we've got to go back now.
Yes.
18 months. So you've got my brain going already.
Yes.
Okay, so...
The Flavours of Love is the story of Saffron McElroy, and I say that because all the way through the book, people keep mispronouncing her name.
Did they say McElroy?
McElroy,
yeah. Anyway,
and it's quite an important point.
Yes.
Anyway, her husband is murdered 18 months before the book starts, and obviously her life is thrown into disarray, and she has been going through life feeling quite numb and basically treading water.
And I'm just going to stop there. He hasn't died. He was definitely murdered, because
Definitely
that's a
murdered.
very important part.
Yeah.
Of it. Right. Okay.
He was murdered, yes.
Right.
And the killer was never caught. But from the first page, you discover that Saffron and her daughter, Phoebe, who's 12 at the time, both know something about the killer.
Yes.
And Saffron maybe knows who did it, but they don't go and tell the police.
Right.
And because she makes a choice at that point not to tell the police what she knows. So her husband's killer's never caught.
But in not telling the police, a lot of, a web of info starts to unfold,
yes,
doesn't it?
Her whole life is now based on this decision she made all that time ago.
And how can she, being the wife of a murdered man who she loved, how can she choose not to go to the police?
Well, as it says on the back, so I'm not giving anything away.
No, and I don't want you to give anything away.
But it does say she made a decision to protect her family as she saw it.
Right.
At that time. So, like I say, at the beginning of the book, you find out that she hasn't told the police.
Mm.
And then the story fast forwards. So then you kind of realise she's living with the consequences of that decision she's made.
Right. And we're in a scenario, and I'm going to say once again, because you do write really well and emotionally when it comes to women who make decisions to either not open their mouths, not leave their husbands, not tell the truth. And I've always wanted to know, where does all that come from, Dorothy?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe talking to people. Maybe talking to the people who I do talk to for research and seeing how other people live their lives. Because, people make decisions all the time. We all do. We all make decisions all the time. Every day we make several decisions. Sometimes they're unconscious decisions, but they're always decisions. Sometimes they're good for you. Sometimes they're not so good for you. Sometimes they don't have any huge impact on your life. And sometimes it's a very small decision has life-changing consequences that you don't know. And in the book, as you'll discover, Saffron, the decision she makes 18 months earlier, just before her husband's killed, she makes a decision that leads to his murder. She feels leads to his murder. And it's actually, as well, if you read the book, you find that Joel makes a decision that leads to his murder. And he's like a good man.
There's lots of twists and turns, and I from where I've read up to, and I'm so sorry I haven't finished it. Right. Guilt. I feel a lot of guilt.
Yes.
In this book.
and responsibility. And also, I think a lot of us make decisions, and then we have to live with the consequences of it. But we also have a lot of guilt. We carry a lot of guilt with the decision we made. And sometimes, I don't know if you do this, but you look back in your life, you think, why did I do that?
Absolutely.
Even though it has led to who you are, and hopefully who you are is good. But yeah.
But sometimes, and being women, and I do like the fact that you write from a woman's mind and from a woman's heart. Not that you couldn't ever write from a man, but do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's always wondering, could I have been a better person had I made a different decision?
Yes.
It's all very well acknowledging I am who I am
because
of everything that's happened to me, and I give thanks to the universe and da-da-da. But had I gone a different path, would I be a better person?
Absolutely. And that's a lot of Saffron's dilemma. She had told the police 18 months earlier, would her life be where it is now? If she hadn't made a decision she made sort of 25 months earlier, would she be living without her husband? And at the start of the book, her daughter makes another revelation, which is just...
I had to go back and read that again. And we won't go there. But I'm going to ask, without a father for 18 months, could that have been one of the reasons why her daughter's behaviour changed and she went off the rails slightly and made the revelation at the beginning of chapter 1?
Possibly. Yeah. But I think a lot of girls...
Experiment.
Not just experiment. I think a lot of girls, especially when you're 14, it's a really hard age to make decisions that are correct for you, because you don't know that it's going to have a decision you make is going to affect the rest of your life or set you on a particular course. We don't know as adults, but you're also not a child. You're not a child and you're not an adult, and you're in that no man's land. Yeah, and that's where Saffron's daughter Phoebe finds herself, because she's enjoyed time with her friends and her life until her dad's murdered, and then that changes who she is and how she relates to the world, because she feels partially responsible, whether rightly or wrongly. That's how she feels, and because of that, she kind of goes off the rails, but in a very quiet way. And
the revelation isn't quiet.
But I've been thinking a lot about this. I was thinking, Saffron actually, whether she had lost Joel or not, I don't know if she would have been, if that would have happened anyway, because she's not the sort of person who talks to her daughter in a way maybe that she should have done. And I'm not giving anything away when I say that at some point in the book, Saffron says she promised herself she wouldn't ever be like her mother. And she'd have a different relationship with her daughter, and she does. But then she can see shades of... I don't know if she really does actually have those shades of the relationship she had with her mother, with Phoebe, but that's how she feels.
I was going to say, a few little emotions rear their head. They do peek in.
Yeah.
And I think, well, as mothers, I know I've said it, I'm never going to do that the way my mother did it. I'm never going to say that to my daughter. And it's not until it actually comes out of your mouth and you can't get it back. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, Dorothy, where does this specific story come from? Because we're dealing with a murder here. We're not dealing with a death, and I differentiate that. Right. So we're not dealing with somebody who was ill and then passed on. We're dealing with an actual murder here. Where did that come from? What's the story behind that? What's the energy behind that? And why then display one of the emotions of guilt in Saffron, if I'm making sense?
Yes, I think I think I know what you're asking. The story actually came from wanting to look at how someone copes after she becomes a widow. And she's already fragile, and Saffron has other things going on with her. And I wanted to look at not directly after the murder, which is what a lot of the time I think books and TV, films deal with. But I wanted to look at her at a certain period after this. 18 months is quite a long time in people's lives. And a lot of the time people expect you to have got over it and to have moved on and to have accepted it. And I wanted to see if it's actually true that, time does heal all wounds, or if, as I think I found out from research I did, time doesn't actually do anything. It's what you do in that time and how you remember the person you lost. And murder is slightly different in the sense of it changes your complete view of the world. I mean, losing somebody changes your view of the world, but having someone ripped away and knowing it's a decision that someone else made to do that is quite a unique.
It's different to having someone in your life who was ill over a period of time and then slips away.
Yes.
It's also different to have someone, God forbid, die suddenly, but when someone's taken from you because somebody else decides to take that person, it is a completely different ballgame.
Yeah.
So you're dealing with the loss, you're dealing with the sudden loss, you're dealing with the fact that you know in your mind someone's taken that loved one.
Yes.
Saffron is also dealing with the possibility of having an idea.
Yes.
So there's lots of emotions here.
Yeah. And yes, and it's kind of difficult. Well, it's very difficult for Saffron to kind of negotiate her life through that, and that's what I wanted to deal with. How someone who's already very fragile deals with a new crop of problems develop with her daughter's revelation, and then with the killer starts to write to her as well. So, and she's in this situation where she had done, she'd made this decision. So
you tend to write as well from very deep emotional areas. Nothing's quite straightforward in Dorothy's books, is it? There's always a twist and a turn.
Yes.
There's always secrets that come out. And, you know, books are books, and we chug along and we get a storyline and then something comes up and, but you have a gift of writing. The way that you put your stories together in real time and then maybe fast forwarding and then going back to the beginning and then going back in the past. Yeah. But somehow it's never confusing. There's a way of always compartmentalising every scene in your head like a film.
Yeah, I hope so. Well, some of us described it as a jigsaw puzzle when you're putting all the pieces together, and I hope it's a bit like that you, as you read more of the picture and more of the big picture of who Saffron is and how she is, because I've written only from Saffron's point of view, whereas the Rose Petal Beach was from many people's points of view. It's been many different people whilst I was writing
people
that.
Had opinions, didn't they? Yeah.
And where this one, you only see it from Saffron's point of view. So when you see the big picture, it's how she's looking at it, I suppose, and how all these different elements have affected her. So yeah, it's like little different. I mean, I think we're all made up of little different pieces of things that have happened to us, things that we do now, things we hope for the future, and whether they pan out in the future or not. I think that's quite important to who we are.
Have you studied psychology or human behaviour?
I did do psychology at college, yes. I did a psychology degree, yes.
It shows. It shows. One thing that I do want to ask you, and you don't have to talk about this if you don't want to, but I understand that this is going to be your last offering for quite some time.
Yes, I'm having a bit of a break.
What's made you decide to do that?
I think sometimes you just need to take a step back and have a look at what you're doing and whether you want to carry on doing that. And I do want to carry on writing, obviously. I'm not saying I don't want to carry on writing, but I wanted to see. I just need a break, I think. I need a break, and I also need to have a think about what sort of book I want to write next. I absolutely love writing emotional thrillers. If I hadn't sort of taken a bit of a break after writing Goodnight Beautiful, I wouldn't have written The Ice Cream Girls, which was like, a complete change and, took me on a new path.
Yes,
and I wouldn't have started the emotional thriller thing. So I don't know what's going to come next. Maybe a sci-fi emotional thriller with comedy. Who knows?
Well,
but I just want to take a chance to do something different, maybe.
Yeah, and refresh yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
So whatever you do come back with, you must come back to magic.
I will, definitely.
And I very much hope that you will. The Flavours of Love. And I must say as well, I love the imagery that you use on your book covers as well.
Great, isn't it?
It's gorgeous.
Nothing to do with me.
Oh, all right then.
The covers. I love my covers. I think
they're brilliant.
The woman who designs them, she's just fantastic.
Brilliant. The Flavours of Love, it's our current book of the week, and it's by the fabulous Dorothy Koomson, who is our guest once again on Angie's Book Club at Magic. And it's never, well, I don't have to say it, but it's always good to see you.
You too, Angie.
Always
Okay.
good to see you.